Hi, my name is Jan Erickson. I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we manufacture women's outer apparel in the United States. We've been in business for about 10 years, and Janska started when I had a dream one night about a jacket for a friend of mine who had had a stroke. And nothing in her closet fit her any longer. She couldn't get her arm in a sleeve because of the stroke. And she was relegated to a hospital gown. And I noticed how people treated her differently, and also she was very cold. And I had this dream that I woke up and sketched, and the next morning I looked at it and thought, wow, what is this? I don't even know how to sew. But I had that jacket made up, and I brought it to Jean, and it was so soft and warm and simple, and it added dignity to her life. People treated her differently, and from that moment on, all sorts of ideas just tumbled in my head about what other things are needed and wanted. What are women looking for that they're not finding out there? And over the 10 years, it has developed into a national and international clothing line. We're in about 900 boutiques across the United States and Canada, and several catalogs as well.
You know, there are people that you meet and you just feel so incredibly grateful that you met them. And I got booked to work for a company called Janska that Jan owns. And, you know, you really never know when you go out on a job as a model, especially an older model, whether you're going to show up and they're going to be like, oh my God, I didn't realize that I hired, you know, this ancient person. Or you're really not really sure what you're going to get. And when I showed up, my very first shoot was Jan. She was so loving and so kind, and she was genuine. And the clothes were so beautiful. And you put on the clothes and you felt really beautiful because you knew, it's kind of like, I always think of Jan as an artist. And if I have a painting on my wall, I always like to know about the artist. And if it's not somebody who you think is a very good person, I wouldn't hang it on my wall. But when I wore Jan's clothes, I know that the person that designed it and the person that manufactured it is such a great person. So I just always feel good when I wear her stuff.
We operate here with some very core values that came from those core values of how to treat Jean and how Jean was treated. Things like respect, integrity, teamwork, where we were working together, stewardship, and respect not only in terms of how we treat our employees and how the employees treat one another, but what we are creating adds respect and dignity out there in the world for all women that are carrying it, as well as the stores that are working with us and support us by buying our product and then selling it to their customers. It's very important for us to have a made in USA, American milled factory where we are we're adding manufacturing jobs all the time, and we are delivering a quality product at a reasonable price, all made right here in the United States. We feel very strongly about producing quality garments in America and employing people in our country that need work. And I'm so excited every time we add more manufacturing jobs. We use 5 different manufacturers across the United States. We're adding a new one right now in Washington, and we manufacture here ourselves. Our employees are so important to us, the quality that we do, because it's made in America. People need to be willing to pay a little higher price, but that's the right thing to do, to be able to support our own workers. It's very important to us that we recycle whatever we can. There's a lot of waste that happens when you're in a clothing manufacturing plant, and so we don't want that to go into the landfill. We have at least a dozen different companies, different nonprofit groups that take our scrap and do wonderful things with it. Some have a little sewing teaching school for women to teach them how to sew. Some gets exported and gets made into little things, and then it comes back into the United States at some of the global village markets. And then we have some people who use it to make little purses or little flower pins, and we also use that for ourselves. And it benefits schools, it benefits Purple Heart Homes. It benefits a lot of different nonprofit groups that use our scrap to do really ingenious things. I grew up in a family that was multiracial. It was an international family. My parents adopted people from other countries. We also had a lot of people in our home that needed a place to stay. So we had foster kids and other kids in the house. And my parents just had that principle, because they had lost their parents at an early age, that everybody needed to feel like they belonged. And so I think through their actions, they taught me to look outside and say, what can I do to help? How can I be of service? And that's the way they lived their life, and I'm glad some of it rubbed off on me.